Would you like to hear my impression of former WWF champion Macho Man Randy Savage?
I would like to hear this.
Okay, here goes.
Oh my God, it's because he's dead.
Well, he's dead.
I know, I just got it.
Hello everyone, welcome to Word Funk. I am Leon Thomas. I am joined by Austin Yorsky and Johnny Maloney.
Oh my God, I feel pretty wrecked right now. Actually, Well, no, I mean it's just this is the thing that I was like I want to talk about pain was because I'm just sort of like I have no idea what level of pain in my life is expected. You know, like when you work certain jobs or you engage in certain physical activities, as some of us may do. You know, like I'm kind of curious on like how much of the physical state that I'm in on a moment-to-moment basis is a product of my aging, the nature of my work, my hobbies, or, you know, some fact that I may not even be aware of, like, I don't know, a brain tumor or something like that.
Is the audience even aware of how old all of us are?
Is our audience aware of how old we are? I'm 32. I'll be 33 next month.
I'm 35.
I'm 24.
and a quarter.
Okay, Austin, you're like 12, right? You're the baby. You're 20 something, right?
I'm 24, so I'm much younger than you guys.
Yeah, you have your whole life ahead of you. It's amazing.
Except for all the parts after today.
Yeah.
After today, it just goes downhill, and I'm really sorry. It's not enjoyable at all.
Yeah.
But you're going to convince yourself on a regular basis that things are great.
Yeah. I too am experiencing just random pain lately. I hurt my neck, not doing anything. That would make sense. Like I was lifting something with my neck for some reason, but no. I turned a certain way and my neck hurts, and then days later it still does. So I had to put something called a TENS unit on it, where it very mildly electrically shocks my muscles for a while until for days of treatment until finally it felt better. So that was neat.
That's how supervillains start. If you start electrocuting your muscles now, in a couple of weeks you're going to be shooting lightning out of your fingers.
I would take that side effect. No one would fuck with me.
Could we call him Lightning Neck?
It would only come out of my neck. Oh, that's disappointing. It would be a shame if it only could come out of the part of the neck that was in pain, because it's the back of my neck, so I'd have to spin around every time someone had to.
Okay, wait, lightning spine then.
Okay, damn it, Spider-Man! Hold on, let me spin real quick. Stay still.
I want to see a comic with all superheroes who have really inconvenient powers, like a guy who can just shit himself really well, and a guy he can fly but only on Wednesdays, just a bunch of really terrible powers.
There was a British television show years ago, I think called Misfits.
I love Misfits.
Yeah, they kind of explored that. The guy with lactokinesis.
There are a couple of joke powers, yeah.
Yeah, they had a couple. I used to try to convince people that I did have a superpower and that it was being able to telepathically sense which of a stranger's kitchen cupboards contained their drinking equipment. So it was like I could walk into a stranger's kitchen, open up a cupboard, and just pull a glass out. And they'd be like, how the hell did you know that? And normally it's just well, I mean, obviously, dude, your fridge is right over here. So when you pull something out of the fridge, you don't want to walk all the way across the kitchen to get a glass. You'd probably want to grab something right next to the fridge. But I would say to people, well, many years ago, when I was working a midnight shift job at the glassware factory, a surprise electrical radioactive storm.
Actually, that's funny that you mentioned that. Now that I think about it, my kitchen is counterintuitive in that way, because right next to my refrigerator is a cupboard full of soups and things, and my cup drawer cupboard is quite a bit away. Now that I think of it, so this doesn't make any sense.
I'm sure everyone tuned in to hear our organizational tendencies. Where do you guys keep the spoons? That's been bugging me.
I'm just saying that, like, my kitchen is apparently Johnny's kryptonite. You would just come in like, what?
It may very well be. I'd come in and lose my mind slowly to madness and be like, can I at least find the spoons? No, it's an egg whisk! Ah!
Oh.
Johnny, did you keep watching Misfits through, like, all the seasons?
I've only seen a couple episodes. I've only seen.
Okay.
I promised myself that I was gonna keep going, but somebody told me that they like switched like actors or powers or something like halfway through the series, and I was like, oh, that's sad.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, because it's really good for a while, and then first of all the main characters like slowly like drop out and new people come in, and then they do switch powers, and it goes downhill really fast. But it's really fun for like the first season or so.
I promised myself I would give it a good try, but then, my list is pretty sizable.
Yeah, the backlog is real. Leon,
So anyway, that's what it's like to be in pain.
I was going to say, because you said like 2 weeks ago, the gay episode we did had really high views. You're like, oh man, we got to be extra gay. And then this episode, and then we did one, it was like 40 minutes of just talking about penises, which by the way, the comments on that episode are fabulous.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to give you some bad news. It's among our worst listened to episodes we've ever done. Even though it's in my opinion, our best. It might be the best one we've done out of the 51, 52 episodes we've done.
It's our anniversary then. This is our 53rd episode, right?
I can't remember exactly, but yeah, we've been doing this for about a year now.
Happy birthday!
Yeah.
We have some things to talk about. I believe there is some video game news that just dropped. I don't know anything about it. Austin, take it away.
I like it how you say it just dropped, as if like they just decided like to just be like, oh, by the way, this is happening, instead of unnecessarily stretching it out over.
Yeah. Major publishers don't make announcements anymore. They hold like multi-day events, which is something Square Enix did for their latest reveal. They had like this live stream that was having all kinds of weird cryptic shit happening for days, and then halfway through it, I guess a Russian site spilled the beans and revealed that the new Deus Ex is coming. It's called Mankind Divided. It's coming for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. And we finally saw the reveal trailer earlier today. It was like 100% not in-game footage, so it might as well have been useless. But we know how Deus Ex plays, guys. Human Revolution came out. It was a really big success, critically and commercially. I actually really enjoyed it, although I enjoyed Invisible War, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
I enjoyed Invisible War to some extent. I wish that Blistered Thumbs was still up so that I could point people to the article to be like, hey, look, this is where I'm nice to Invisible War for a little bit.
Me and you are in a very, very tiny minority of people who enjoyed the second Deus Ex, but most people enjoyed the first and third. And this fourth one they revealed today, it stars the same protagonist as the last one, Adam Jensen, who didn't ask for this. Although your choices could have killed him in the last one, so I guess they're just going with one ending as canon. So sorry if you chose something else. It
was the same with Deus Ex 2 as well. At the end of Deus Ex had hey, make a choice. And then Deus Ex 2 was like, here's the canon.
So they're not doing it like Infamous, where like if you play Infamous 2, all the shit you did in Infamous 1 translates over? It's like the opposite of that.
Especially not. They're not going to be doing that, no.
Oh, okay. Oh, well.
Although there may be recurring characters, of course. Like, I mean, I can't say so far all we've seen is a cutscene with some voiceover. And,
it could be a free-to-play card trading game for all we know at this point.
Well, the good news about Deus Ex, the one that just came out a few years ago, Human Revolution, and this one is they're both on PC, so I don't have to buy anything new hardware to play them. So that's good news for me, I guess. Because I don't want to right now.
Did you play Human Revolution? You haven't yet, have you?
No, it's on my short list because I'm told that it's actually a Western RPG that I might enjoy because it's not that RPG-y.
No, it's a stealth third-person shooter game, depending on how you play it, with RPG elements.
Oh, okay. Well, that's...
It's a stealth action first third-person shooter with RPG / skill tree elements.
See, I love when a JRPG is just mired and drowning in JRPG tropes, but any Western RPG that is just sinking in its own Western RPG bullshit just makes me not want to play it. So it's the fact that Human Revolution is apparently light on those elements, and it's actually a bunch of other stuff I might enjoy, makes me want to try to play it.
What is it about Western RPGs that you don't like? Is it the skill trees or the
numbers. He hates numbers. He hates math. He hates the laws that govern this universe and can't face up to the fact that Western RPGs are the closest thing to having an actual universe design.
I don't know what it is exactly. It's just that I've played a bunch of them, and they all leave me not enjoying it very much. I played a game from Wasteland. Thank you to Johnny for that. I have played Fallout 3. I have played Fable 2. I have played Elder Scrolls Oblivion.
Some of Witcher 2.
I played Witcher 2, not very much of it, but enough to know whether or not I wanted to continue playing it. What else did I play? I played like a minute of Skyrim because my wife had it, and I was like, nope, I don't care. And I played a surprising amount of this genre, even though I know I don't like it. So
even though you're irredeemable weeaboo scum, Leon?
Yeah, I just keep coming back to it. I liked Demon's Souls. That's a Western-style RPG that was actually made in Japan, so maybe that's why I liked it a little. Yeah, I don't know what it is. There's just something about Western RPGs that just don't tickle me for some reason.
This is the funny thing about it too, is that like almost any single one of those games that you mentioned, I would feign associate with the other. Like if somebody says to me, "Oh shit, I really love Skyrim," I would never say, "Well, then I think you should probably play Wasteland 2."
Oh yeah, completely different experiences. I did like Wasteland 2 more than most, just because I enjoy turn-based battle systems. And that felt like a JRPG, even though the positioning was different. So I dug that. I think the thing I disliked about it the most, and the thing I dislike about the stories in most of these Western RPGs, is that how do I put this? I feel like I'm the character. Is what I'm trying to say? I feel like they're saying, oh, you don't have a character who has like an arc and a storyline and friends and like a neat, cute love interest and like happy things like that. You're just kind of you if you were in this world and you have stats. And for some reason that just doesn't interest me very much. I know what I'm like. I'm only okay. I don't need a game to tell me what I would do in the capital wasteland. I would hide. That's what I would do all the time. I would never leave the vault. It is ridiculous that I'm basically supposed to play something that's more or less me and leave the vault. I wouldn't do that at all. I would just hang out, and everything would be just kind of status quo, and I would deal with it. I wouldn't have that great of an existence, but I know I'd die real quick.
I still say we should play a tabletop RPG and like stream it or record it or something, and just all play with like realistically statted characters. Like Leon has the most charisma because everyone likes his voice, but like no strength.
I don't know if I have that much charisma, and I definitely don't have much strength. So I've said before, I'm a very default character in the real world. All my stats would be 5s out of 10s. That's all there is to it.
Oh my gosh. What do you guys think? Shadowrun? Is that our kind of game?
I would play a tabletop RPG with you guys. I played those and I've enjoyed those. I briefly played Dungeons and Dragons when I was young. Nerd! I'll say it before you do. And I enjoyed it, but I just didn't get into it that much because I didn't know a whole lot of people who played it.
I feel like we'd start off as a heroic party, and then you either get bored or frustrated, and then start just being fucking dicks. I feel like Johnny would just start shooting civilians, and then it would just get out of hand. Because, I mean, you've seen his character in Dead Man Switch. He's just a bastard.
Oh.
Yeah, pretty dickish. Although, I'm getting varying reports of my character in Pillars of Eternity.
Weren't you just a character portrait? Do you have a full backstory?
Yeah, precisely, because everybody is like, no, I don't have a full backstory. Everybody's playing him differently, so it's like, I am everybody. I am become Shiva, Destroyer of Worlds. I am Unicron.
Okay.
This has been some fantastic analysis of the new Deus Ex.
Yeah.
Well,
There's no analysis to be had, isn't it? Just a trailer that says nothing.
I guess. I mean, there's not much to analyze per se, but I mean, are we hopeful about this? Square Enix has not had the best track record with AAA games recently, but I did dig Human Revolution, so I'm reasonably optimistic.
Yeah. I mean, if we're gonna be truthful about this, we did ask for this. Like, in terms of how many people bought this game. Although, like, I still can't, like, the only memory that comes into mind that really leaps to mind about Square Enix, these days is how they, quote unquote, bobbled the Tomb Raider reboot, where the game sold, like, fucking millions and millions of copies, and they were like, yeah, it underperformed.
I think it was like just this last week where the last Tomb Raider, the reboot, finally became the best-selling entry in the series. It took like
yeah,
3 years or something.
And
so it had legs.
Like 8.5 million, but apparently, like, within the first year, it had sold like 6 million copies or something like that. Hang on, Tomb Raider reboot. Disappointment.
Wordfunk, where we Google things you could look up yourself.
Yeah, I mean, deal with it. So,
just because that's contempt for our audience. It's great.
Okay, alright. So in its first month, it sold 3.4 million copies. 3.4 million copies, yeah. And then Square Enix was like, oh, we're very disappointed to see that the high scores didn't perform in sales, and yeah, they wanted to sell about 6 million apparently, but they only sold 3.5, so they were like, what do we do?
We only made a lot of money instead of a lot of money.
And now they're spending a lot of money on 3-day-long promo streams for games that don't even have any, like, in-game footage to show, or, like, hey, look, Adam Jensen is back. I wonder how we're gonna Samus him now.
Samus him? What does that mean?
What happened?
It's when, like, at the end of every fucking Metroid game, Samus Aran is the baddest motherfucker in the galaxy.
Okay.
And then
I
at the
get it.
beginning of the very next one, it's like, oh, all that awesome stuff you have? Uh-oh! It's gone!
No.
She usually gets, like, shot or something, or is in a crash, and all her equipment gets
shot or
off.
crashed or drained of energy or reads a really bitchy Facebook post from a friend of hers, and... so I'm just like, okay, at the end of Deus Ex Human Revolution, fucking Adam Jensen was pretty badass. I mean, regardless of how you spec'd him, he had some pretty badass abilities, but I just know you're gonna get those badass abilities for a mission, and then it's gonna be like, oh, sorry, dude, that guy fucked your shit up.
He downloads a bad update, gets some malware, has to be taken apart.
He gets some pretty bad pop-ups.
He falls asleep in the tub and he gets all rusty.
We had to replace everything, Jensen. Why?
Is that your Jensen impersonation?
That's really more my Batman impersonation. Okay. Jensen's a little more smoky, a little more subdued, a little more like.
I hope he finally gets his mirror fixed.
For this, Batman's more like, where is the virus? I don't even know. I don't know, man. Don't ask me.
All right.
Hold my feet to the fire. I couldn't tell you anything.
Okay. Anything more we want to say about this thing we know almost nothing about before we move on?
No, I'm still laughing because Johnny just immediately disowned that joke. Like, halfway through.
No, good.
Just owns the joke. I'm just sort of like, for some reason, like, 24 and Batman became the same show in my brain for a second, and it was a pretty damn good show, I gotta tell you. Watching Jack Bauer and Batman kick ass and try to track down the virus, or the nuke, or the other virus, or his daughter.
Yeah. Alright, before we move... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would say that's all in that story. The only other video game thing is, did you guys hear about that people still haven't figured out what an entire stat in Bloodborne does? Like, From Software is pretty famous for hiding, like, weird shit in their games. But, like, the game's been out for, like, 2 weeks or something, and people still don't know how it, like, fundamentally works, which is really...
Is the stat flan expertise? Because I could teach you guys a thing or two about making a pretty tight flan.
Tight flan. I don't think you're supposed to be tight.
It's the tightest.
I'm talking, figuratively here, Austin. I'm not like my flans are as loose as the next man's. I beg your pardon.
Anyway, I don't have anything else to say on that. I just thought that was interesting because most games would get crucified for being obtuse, but people are just like, Bloodborne is a complete and total mystery, even on the basic player interaction level. Awesome.
Well, I guess, like I've often pursued the idea that making a good game isn't just about making a good game. It's about achieving something in terms of design that you set out to do. Because it's like, we could all be like, oh, hey, what's the best gem matching game out there? And maybe we all have, like, varying opinions about which match 3 gems game is the best game, right? But
for the record, Pokemon Puzzle League.
Okay.
If anybody was wondering.
All right. So we could all be like, yeah, Pokemon Puzzle League is the best gem matching game. But then it's like, what if I told you that the best gem matching game was called System Shock 3, Shodan's Favorite Night at the Pet Store?
Is that a thing we're making now? Do we have the rights to that? Who owns the rights to that? We need this.
All I'm simply trying to say is that it's like, it could very well be the best goddamn gem matching game out there, but you can't really be like, which was the best System Shock, 1, 2, or 3? There's a dissonance there. So, in terms of From Software, when their design document, like their design Bible, is like, okay, and yeah, we need to make some things obtuse. We need to make the game so that it's difficult to understand, so that when people jump in, they kind of feel an achievement for figuring this stuff out, and it makes you want to come back and learn more and be like, a little bit more intrigued by the world. Congratulations, you have achieved that. But, to deliberately make a game obtuse because you can, and if it's not rewarding and it's not part of the design document, it just happens to be obtuse, is a much different experience.
You're saying it's a feature, not a bug.
Well, that's a crass way of putting it, Austin. Because there are legitimate situations where it's sort of like, oh yeah, it's a feature, not a bug. It's like, oh, you mean where my whole save game gets erased? It's like, yeah, for realism.
I meant in Bloodborne's case, obviously. Because the games are all about discovery and like exploration and kind of organic environmental storytelling.
Yeah.
So it makes sense
it may very well be a feature. What is the stat? If you say strength, so help me God, I'm gonna hit people.
No, it's something to do with like transformation, because the whole game is like you and everyone in the town are infected with like lycanthropy, essentially. Like you can't turn into a werewolf, but you have like a werewolf stat. I don't know. Some people are like think that it was like a feature.
Figured it out?
Yeah, people think there's like some kind of secret way to turn into a werewolf, but you can't really do it except for like your arm can kind of get wolfy for a minute, but that's like it. So I'm severely
maybe it's DLC related. Oh, that would not make people happy.
No. All right. That's all I had to say on that, though.
Okay.
I'm vastly oversimplifying, so.
All right. All right. Before we get into the big news Johnny's going to cover, I'm just going to say very quickly that I just moments ago, before we started recording, finished watching the Jinx, and spoiler, the only suspect in the entire 6-part miniseries who looked super shifty the entire time and was almost certainly the murderer turned out to be the murderer. I guess that was supposed to be like the twist ending, but the twist was that more evidence came to light, but it was like, oh, in the first episode, he obviously did it. And then it was like, at the end, it was like, oh, he did it. So it was neat. But that is like the shiftiest motherfucker I've ever seen. Every time he lied, he would like blink 8 times. He has like the worst poker face. Great lies, but the worst poker face. So, it's good though.
I haven't seen it, but I keep hearing people talk about it. Like they made a joke on Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, where he was talking about how much he blinks and stuff, and it's like this guy sounds super guilty, and they had to make a 6-part miniseries to convince people.
It was due to the miniseries that he got arrested again because they found evidence, and it was like, oh shit.
You say they found evidence as if, like, you know, he didn't just totally let the fucking
No.
pasture in the last episode in the fucking bathroom because his mic was on.
No, the evidence was the letter. He actually got arrested before the 6th episode aired. He got arrested after the 5th episode aired because the letter was like, oh, that's a thing, so we should look into that. After the 6th episode got aired, we all assumed, yes, because he was dicking around in the bathroom, and he's like, yep, sure did kill them all. I killed so many people. That's, again, a terrible impersonation. I'm bad at those. It's every time. But yeah, pretty good. I would check it out if you have HBO Go and you haven't seen it yet. It's cool. That's all I have to say about that, though.
I keep waiting for some HBO stuff to make its way to HBO Canada, which is a different thing than regular HBO.
Yeah.
Like, we still haven't got Going Clear yet.
Oh.
I really want to watch Going Clear.
It's neat. There's always that other way to find something on the internet.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
It's Canadian grown polite. Like,
Canadian
totally nice.
Canadian internet's really like, are you sure you want to do this? Be like, yeah, well, it'd be improper. Are you, yeah? You sure? Well, I don't know. Well, let's talk about it.
Okay. I do want to say one more thing, and that is, even though this was a self-contained documentary story, I hope that Jinx basically just gets a 2nd season and a 3rd and a 4th, and each time it's just some guy who obviously did it the whole time, and they just grab them and they pull them in and says, "We're going to interview you for 6 episodes." Like, okay, but I didn't do it. And then the weird-looking dude with the goatee says, "Did you do it?" He says, "Yes." I mean, no, but you just got jinxed. That's the show. It'll be very redundant. Okay, Johnny, you have like a legitimate news story to talk about.
Speaking of primetime cable channels, you may remember a couple of weeks ago there was a little bit of squeeing on the podcast, mainly from me, a little bit of hopeful optimism from Austin, and I don't even know what I would describe Leon's reaction as, kind of like a passive,
Bored bewilderment.
He wasn't really invested. He was like, I'm kind of happy this thing is happening, but I'm not really invested.
I'm invested in the sense that I'm eventually going to watch the whole thing from front to back, including the new stuff. My interest was mostly just, he's doing shit again.
What Leon's talking about is the news a little while ago that David Lynch and Mark Frost were coming back to revive Twin Peaks on Showtime. Initial news was that Lynch and Frost were going to write all 9 scripts that the show was going to be based on. Lynch himself was going to direct all 9, and after it was announced that it was happening, sort of piecemeal, actors started being announced about whether or not they were going to be coming back. Pardon me. And they had a pretty impressive list until just a couple of days ago, the roller coaster ride started. The roller coaster ride that I refer to is that David Lynch, just kind of like on his own, one morning, woke up, presumably had a cup of his own coffee, did his weather podcast, went to his Facebook page and was like, "Dear Twitter friends," or Facebook friends. Apparently, he announced, because everybody was really worried that they hadn't heard anything about Twin Peaks and that everybody was really cagey about when Twin Peaks was happening and how Twin Peaks was doing, David Lynch revealed that Showtime has not pulled the plug on the series revival. However, for the past year and 4 months, he has been negotiating with them over price. Now, not his price, not how much money he wanted to be paid in order to do Twin Peaks, but how much money they were willing to spend to film all 9 episodes. In his statement, he said, quote, "I left because not enough money was offered to do the script the way I felt it needed to be done. This weekend I started to call actors to let them know I would not be directing. Twin Peaks may still be very much alive at Showtime. I love the world of Twin Peaks and wish things could have worked out differently." End quote. I overreacted to that news.
I noticed.
I'm not ashamed to admit that. But within
Although perhaps you should be.
Maybe. But there's a number of things in my life that I should probably be ashamed of prior to coming to the point where I'm ashamed of that. A few hours later, though, Showtime was like, hey, I thought we were making great progress in regards to the negotiations. Apparently, they didn't realize that things had been so bad for Lynch.
Because Lynch never tells anybody anything straight. He has to do it in metaphor and symbolism. I bet it's a pain in the ass to negotiate with him.
Every day, Showtime's office, they just get a crate and there's chickens inside. And it's like, what does this mean?
They counter offer, and then every day he folds like one origami animal behind like a dramatically lit dressing screen, and then like places it in a bowl of perfume, and then like leaves by the window. And then they're all like, I think that went well today?
I guess. I mean, he needs a bigger budget for the show. I mean, red curtains are pretty expensive. So, yeah, I don't know where this leaves the Twin Peaks revival, though. I mean, if David Lynch is not involved in any way, does that mean that the other people who are involved are allowed to make it go through, or does that it's just?
Well, this is the thing, is that Showtime still has the rights to make it, and if you actually look at the anatomy of the original TV series, David Lynch did not direct a large portion of the episodes, but it's still really difficult to kind of extricate his identity from the show itself.
Yeah, but he wrote quite a bit of it, didn't he?
He did. I mean, I'm not sure if he wrote as many episodes as we would ideally like to believe that he wrote, but he certainly directed like a good 6 to 10, I'm going to say, episodes of the run, and probably co-wrote more than that. I mean, Mark Frost seemed to write the bulk of the show.
Okay. Well, my only other question is, if they said Lynch has already written the episodes, does that mean they use them, or does that mean that he shreds them and they start over?
I think they still have access to the scripts.
Oh, okay.
Believe it or not, this is not actually the end of the story.
Okay.
Because just today, a bunch of the actors who have admitted that they were coming back and are in negotiations to come back released a video that basically is like, give David Lynch the money. Give him the money. Yeah, and nobody's like, give him the money or I walk, but everybody's kind of like, give him the money or, I mean, nobody needs to resort to threats. You should give him the money. Yeah, get him to dance forwards this time. I'm sure that's a great deal cheaper.
Get a Kyle MacLachlan impersonator instead of the real thing? Diet MacLachlan?
Yeah, how hard would that be? You just get a guy with a weird wavy haircut and bug eyes, and then there you go.
I'm available.
Well, do you guys see, there was a couple different things that talked to come out of this. One was people were saying it was like a viral marketing kind of a stunt for the whole thing. Like, how weird would that be if none of this was real? And that it was just David Lynch fucking with everyone.
We're all in Peaks now.
I don't think that that's in David Lynch's wheelhouse. I really don't.
Too direct.
Everything, it's really direct, and everything that I hear about the man is that he's like the nicest, he's like the sweetest guy. Apparently when he was a young man, he used to have like real serious anger problems, but then he started like transcendental meditation every day, and he's just he calmed right the fuck down, and he's always like the first person to tell people that he loves them, and he gives everybody cute nicknames, and like, it just doesn't seem like David Lynch to be like, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pretend to leave Twin Peaks to give everybody the fucking chills.
I want you to do the rest of the show in that voice, please.
I mean, the guy does a voice on he did a voice on the Cleveland show.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like he was doing nothing for years. He was great on the Cleveland show. I just mean, no, he was. I just mean that,
I like it that they designed the character to look exactly like David Lynch.
Yeah, and in case anyone did not realize it was David Lynch for some reason, one of the characters calls him Eraserhead in one scene. So it's great, but I watched it, and yes, I did watch the Cleveland show. I don't care. And every time he would come on screen, I'm like, you're funny. Direct a movie. What's going on?
Just yelling at your TV. Okay. Did you also see that Choice Provisions, the video game company that makes the Bit Trip series, offered to pay the difference if David Lynch should come back?
I did not.
I know exactly who that is at Choice Provisions. I know
because I was going to say
Aunt Rambo, bless you.
Full disclosure, we're friends with the guy. He used to work for Blistered Thumbs. Is it corruption if I didn't mention that? Are we ethics now? I don't know how
we colluded. Shut the whole thing down, everybody. We're all in trouble. Jump!
We are not ethics. We are not ethics at all.
We have become ethics. The ethics are coming from inside the house.
Alright, that's the title.
So it's still getting made, right?
That's presumably. I mean, it would be ridiculous. I mean, I'm assuming that at this point in time, Showtime has probably paid a bunch of money in order to gain the rights to revive it on TV. I mean, I don't think they were just sitting in like the fucking community free space pool and just being like, "How come nobody wants me?" Like somebody was holding on to that IP, like somebody was waiting for the right fucking wallet to come along. So it would seem ridiculous to me that they would buy the IP, get the scripts written, and then only when they're ready to move into production be like, that's it, shut the whole thing down.
So if they have the scripts and they have most of the actors, do you think a David Lynch-less Twin Peaks revival would be that much different than one with him? Like, how much do you think it'll affect the final product?
This is the thing, is that I feel that there was a subtle undercurrent of horror in Twin Peaks. There was maybe not so subtle even, but it was on the back burner for most of the TV series. It would come out overtly at times. And one of the things that a friend of mine once said to me years ago that I thought was really apt to describe David Lynch's directing style was that he was the best horror movie director to never direct a horror movie.
Actually, remind me to talk about that later because I have something else I want to talk about. But anyway, go on.
And the thing about it is that horror that existed within Twin Peaks always worked best when he was behind the camera, when he was in the director's chair. There were some really, like, strange scenes otherwise. I don't want to talk about, like, spoilers or anything like that, but there are a couple of moments during the series where you just kind of go, what? and then there are moments when David Lynch is directing where you go, what? But you feel, like, really terrible inside.
Just as an aside, before I forget, just as a complete coincidence, the 100th Renegade cut is coming up in a few days, and it's Lost Highway. So check that out. By the time this goes up, it'll be almost done. Like
that horror, that element, that undercurrent in Twin Peaks always worked best when David Lynch was directing.
Yeah.
And even though like ultimately, Fire Walk with Me was not what everybody wanted from a movie about Twin Peaks, you can see it as a result of that. Like seeing a movie version of Twin Peaks that doesn't even involve the majority of characters in Twin Peaks, you can see that terror, that kind of like that visceral ugliness that sort of creeps just beneath the surface of everyday civilized life. And he makes it work in pretty much every single one of his features. Like it's something that David Lynch has a total talent for. And without that, I feel like there are some things about Twin Peaks that I love that would fall flat. That's not to say that I wouldn't enjoy it. It does suggest that it might not be as good as it could be, though. Because it's ridiculous to say, speaking of a television series in which David Lynch did not direct the majority of episodes, that not having David Lynch direct the episodes would be unfair to the spirit of the original Twin Peaks. But I had high hopes. I mean, I like Leon. Not like I like Leon. I like you, Leon. I do like you. But
Great.
like Leon, I was really looking forward to seeing a new David Lynch-directed material. And the fact that it was Twin Peaks made me more excited. And now I'm just a little bit excited that I might get Twin Peaks without David Lynch.
All right. So anything you guys want to talk about before I go?
Austin wanted me to remind him because we were talking about... I said he was the best horror director that has never directed a horror movie. And you were like, remind me of this thing that I want to tell you, but I'm not going to tell you right now because I need to be reminded later. I'm your man!
Thank you, Johnny. I just wanted to say, because last week, or maybe the week before, I can't remember, Leon, you said you went to see a movie called It Follows.
Yep.
And I went and saw it on your recommendation because I have a pretty close taste and stuff to you. You know, I respect your opinion.
Thank you.
And fucking holy Christ, was it good?
Yeah. As a horror movie, it's very tense, but just as a film, like just how well it's put together, how well it's shot, some, let's say, deeper stuff going on there, it's a just genuinely great film.
Because, I mean, it was sold as a kind of a horror movie. Like, I saw a commercial for it, and it looked like, you know, your average, like, teenagers have sex in cars and then a killer stalks them thing. But it uses horror tropes, but I don't even know if I'd call it a horror movie so much. A lot of the scenes are just people talking. Like, there's like 2 or 3, like, scenes of actual danger. Only, like, 2 people die and only 1 on screen.
But, Austin, everybody knows that nobody talks in real life. Everybody gets murdered by slasher killers. How is that realistic?
It's a horror movie in the sense that it's genuinely scary, and I was, like uncomfortable while watching it. And it's a horror movie in the sense that it has supernatural elements and terrifying things happen, and some people die, but it definitely steps outside of expectations. That's for sure. I want to talk about a little bit more about it, but I just feel like I'd be going into spoilers. I find spoiling the Jinx because that's true crime, and you've probably all heard about it by now. It follows. How do I talk about it? People are talking about it. Because on the surface it seems like it might be about sexually transmitted diseases, but it doesn't, for me, it doesn't even feel like that's the main thrust of it. It feels more about growing up and losing innocence and things like that. I have more to say, and I'm going to do an episode on it. But the sex in the movie, even though that's a main part of the movie, it's not graphic or gratuitous. It's just sad. It's just a lot of.
Wait, what kind of sex do you guys have?
It's
and how much crying is there?
It's just a lot of sad humping. In the movie.
Again, I'm seeing things more realistic here than most
Johnny.
movies.
Johnny, you have the most depressing boners. You know that?
I can't call it depressing boners.
I am intimately familiar with my depressing boners, Austin.
Oh God! But yeah, it's a great movie, and it does feel like it's more than a horror movie. But I don't like saying. The thing is, when I say something like that, it sounds like I'm praising the movie, but somehow admonishing horror. Right? But that's not true. I actually feel like movies like It Follows are like the realization of what horror can be beyond stabbing people. Although stabbing people can be very cool, there's a lot there that's just, I feel like it's untapped because a lot of directors are like, horror is beneath me, so I'm going to make an arty film. You could do both. You could absolutely do both at the same time.
I was just gonna say, because it's very almost like literary. There's like several layers of meaning. It's like no one calls Hamlet an action play, even though there's like sword fights and shit, right?
Yeah, there's a ghost and everything.
Yeah, it's like super badass if you take it out of context. But people are just like, oh, it's a literary classic. Just respect it the way it is, right? I feel like it follows, it's horror, but it's I don't know, it feels like it's above that designation. And I actually really like horror. I'm a huge horror fan. But I don't want people to skip it because they think it's like Friday the 13th or something.
This is the thing, is that I've often felt that one of the biggest problems that you have with horror as a genre is it seems to have a low barrier of entry, which is both a blessing and a curse, because it's sort of like, you know, basically any enthusiast can kind of just be like, I got a great idea for a horror movie. What is it? There's a guy, okay, all right, and he loves his mom, but he stabs people. That sounds great. Let's do it. You know, and it's really reductive, because that's to say, you know, that's not to say, excuse me, that we don't have great horror masters that have existed over the years. Alfred Hitchcock immediately jumps to mind. You know, where you can have really scary, tense, terrible situations, but they're like fucking Alfred Hitchcock. What was Vertigo? You just did a video on this not too long ago, Leon, about Citizen Kane and how, the AFA, I think it was like, guess what? Vertigo is the new best movie. You know, and so, like, on the one hand, it's kind of nice that you can just be like, anybody can go and, like, get a horror movie done. Mm-hmm. You know, not anybody. This isn't just like, hey, you know, I'm going to draw pictures of you real fast on this sketch pad, and then we'll flip them, and it's going to be awesome. But it is like, you know, there's a low barrier to, I guess, acceptability in terms of what you expect from a horror movie when you sit down to watch it. Yeah. And it's like, is there gonna be blood? Yeah. Is somebody's hand gonna get chopped off? Yeah, but it's gonna be kind of fake looking, and you're like, that's okay. That stuff's hilarious. I love it. Okay, great. Is there gonna be sex? You betcha. Okay. Is the killer gonna turn out to be some, like, weird, crazy twist? You got it. All right, I'm in. Here's my $10.
Oh, I just going back to to Hamlet real quick. One wonders if Hamlet, the play, would have been as popular if Shakespeare went with his original title, Ghost Dad.
That's a lot funnier if you've read Hamlet.
I'm sorry. I had a bad joke and I had to wait. Okay.
That's fine.
Did you mention when you talked about it last week, Leon, the soundtrack? Because it needs to be said that
yeah, it is.
The Disasterpiece score is wow.
It is so 80s, and I love it. And I'm gonna say it's so 80s. I don't mean it's cheap and campy and has bad hair. I mean that it's synthesizer. Yeah, if I can speak, synthesizers, and it's just this sense of dread, and
so it's like old school John Carpenter movies.
Yeah, it is. It's like the sound of It Follows, and I mean this in the nicest possible way. It sounds like someone just pressed the synth button on their old Casio and just put their fist in the middle of it. It goes, and it just does that for a few minutes, and it's great. I'm sorry, I'm completely shortchanging the great musical composition of this movie. I'm sorry.
It's good, so I just wanted to say that. So I'm done on that movie. I don't want to spoil it because it is something that really depends on you kind of going in fresh.
Yeah, definitely try to see it in the theaters. If for some reason anyone listening out there, it's not playing in your area and there's just no way you can get there, definitely at least try it when it comes out on Blu-ray. But it's one of those movies you probably want to see in a theater. It is genuinely creepy.
Or in front of my massive TV.
Yeah.
Here's the problem, though. I don't think many of you are invited to come watch stuff in front of my massive TV. Oh. Maybe some of you. I don't know.
All right.
But
is there a process to get approved for that? Is there an application I need to submit?
Well, first of all, I think being in the area is probably a start.
I can't telecommute to your massive TV. We could Skype and you can hold my computer up to your screen.
We probably could do that, actually, now that you mention it.
I don't know.
But it'd only be as big as my screen.
The resolution would not be great.
Well, you could move your face closer to the screen.
Oh, that's all it takes.
So, anything else you guys want to talk about? I mean, we have like 4 minutes.
Yeah, we almost have to go. If there's anything you guys want to say very quickly, we can do that, but I have nothing left.
Deadpool is filming in my city, and it's really weird to drive around and see Deadpool.
Oh, cool.
You just chilling?
So, well, not chilling, standing on a movie set, and then I'm like, oh shit, is he gonna kill somebody? Oh, no, he's not. That's Ryan Reynolds in a suit. Or probably more likely a stuntman in a suit.
Yeah, I bet that saves a lot of time for, they can just put anyone in there, right? Because it covers his whole face and everything.
I know, but, if you were gonna put somebody into the Deadpool suit, wouldn't you want it to be Ryan Reynolds?
Of course, obviously.
I guess.
Did you guys also hear they're making a movie out of Five Nights at Freddy's?
Yeah. Which one, though?
Just the concept.
All three of them. It's gonna be
Yeah.
It's gonna be 15 Nights at Freddy's spread over 12 years or some shit.
Oh, okay.
I think they'll probably just do the first one, essentially.
Yeah, they'll do the first one, and then the sequel to Five Nights at Freddy's will come out 6 weeks later, though.
I wonder. They're really easy. They're really. Guys are dead. The turnaround on the game development thing is really fast, but I wonder if the movie will be the same because we'll actually have to build animatronics instead of just taking shit models.
Wait, I need to remind you, it is the year 2015. Unless you mean build animatronics as cobble together some shitty CGI. Because if that's what you mean, then let me tell you something. Yeah.
I know. I'm naive and optimistic to think they would go with practical effects. Sorry, my bad.
We gotta go. Any last words? That sounds terrible.
I always promised my family that my last words would, regardless, be, "Are you sure it's benign?"
Oh.
Nice. I guess if we have any final words in the episode, it'll be thank you for listening to an entire year of this shit. I hope it wasn't as bad as it sounds to me when I listen to it.
Oh, does anyone you know actually listen to your show?
Yes.
Like in the tangible world?
People
Yeah.
I know for real. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, almost everyone I know is because I've moved around so much. Almost everyone I know is associated in some way with what I do on the internet, with a couple exceptions. So almost everyone I know knows that I do this show, but I'm not familiar with exactly who is actually listening.
Someone I talked to sent me a text reviewing the podcast. I have to ask if I'm allowed to read it on here before I do. Maybe next week, but it was just the most condescending, patronizing thing I've ever read.
Well, can you read it to us and then Leon can edit it out? Because I want to hear it.
I don't have it right now. I had to go find it.
But if it pertains to me, I feel like it's my business and I ought to know.
Am I mentioned at all?
Next week, guys.
Oh, God damn it. It's a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stay tuned to the
Next
internet.
week, will Leon find out if he's mentioned in the text that Austin was talking about? Will Austin read the text that he was talking about? Will Johnny have a boner that's not so sad?
You realize, Austin, that if I am mentioned in this, I'm gonna have some choice words to say to your friend, and you're just gonna have to be the go-between for a really vile, vitriolic back and forth.
I have just one more aside, not necessarily for the podcast though.
Okay.
Leon, have you seen Inherent Vice?
I have not. I really like the director's work. I've loved all of his movies. I just don't want to see this one.
Austin?
No, but I have the novel. I haven't read it though. Sorry.
People reading. Really? Jeez. Sorry, I'm just looking for a second pass at it. Somebody said to me, I think you'd really like it. And I'm like, I might. Let me ask somebody else.
Because it's such a commitment to sit down and watch a movie.
I'm the somebody else you know, and I'm sorry, I have not seen it, and I have like no interest at all, sadly.
Wow.
So everything I've heard about it, and everything I've seen of the trailer, and everything I've read about it, just suggests that I would rather just watch Videodrome instead, and I did last night, and it was good. That's my full review.
Now
So-
I feel like I should watch that and Videodrome again.
Okay. Videodrome was tight. I was all into that.
Tight like a flan?
Yeah, tighter than flan.